2020-2021 Manifesto launch presentation. Greetings UKZN community and welcome to the SRC 2020-2021 Manifesto launch presentation. Contesting candidates will deliver their manifesto presentation as to why you should vote for them in the upcoming SRC elections on the 26th and the 27th. The first organization to present is the Economic Freedom Fighters Student Command, EFF, represented by Nosipiwe Ngobo.
Social platforms, and specifically greetings to the members of the most relevant student organization in the whole of Africa, and the organization that has the interest of the students at heart, which is the EFFSC. Standing before you, or standing before your screens, or the person appearing before your screens is Nosipiwe Nondumiso Ngobo, the current ECRC Student Support Services Officer, and I'm just here to confirm that the rumors that have been circulating that I'm contesting the portfolio of the UKZN SRC President are indeed true. I've been trusted to deliver this manifesto on behalf of the EFFSC, and as an organization, we understand very well that the students of UKZN are tired of the same old empty promises that have been promised to them from I don't know when, since the beginning of time. The EFFSC is a very new organization consisting of very young and vibrant individuals with bright and fresh ideas. What we ask for is an opportunity to put our ideas into life. We also understand that not only are we accountable, we're not accountable to anyone but the students of UKZN, who will, with their votes, put us into office. We have shown that we're selfless, we have shown that we're dedicated to serving, sacrificing, and suffering for the students of UKZN. And those who know the truth and those who are not afraid to speak the truth can attest that we have been on the ground. The EFFSC has been on the ground. The EFFSC has been with students in all their ups and downs. On the mandate we received from the students, there are a lot of issues, but there are also amendments and improvements which the students want through the EFFSC. And in addressing such, we manifest our ideas as follows. On finance and funding matters, a vote for the EFFSC will be a vote for open and transparent financial administration. The EFFSC deployed Treasurer General and the campus finance officers will include leadership of all clubs and societies in drafting the budget proposal and the program of action that is inclined with the final budget once it is approved. And that all clubs and societies will be included in the fund disbursement process. All clubs and societies will be included in the allocation of the budgets, because we believe that all student organizations are equal and they have to be treated as such. The Office of the Treasurer General of the EFFSC-led SRC, as well as the campus finance officers, will present financial reports to students through student body meetings, as we believe that leaders should always be accountable to their masses. The EFFSC-led SRC, through the Office of the Treasurer General and the campus finance officers, will ensure that they establish a trust fund which will be operating via the student levy to ensure that needy students are catered for, and that we also reiterate that meal allowances should increase each and every year to reflect the market fluctuations. The Office of the Treasurer General and the campus finance officers will also ensure that postgrads will be funded. They will be able to source these funds through fundraising. And then no student will be financially excluded next year if we get into office, regardless of their historical dates. And also students, we believe that students should be able to access their academic records regardless of their historical dates. And in terms of accommodation, according to Section 26 of the Constitution, it states that everyone shall have the right to access adequate housing. It further states that all people, or all students in this case, should have the right to live where they choose and to be decently housed. As the EFFSC-led SRC, when we get into office, through the Office of the Resident Affairs Officers, both at executive level and at campuses, will establish an open and accountable task team that will be dealing specifically with resident inspections and queries arising, ensuring that there is transparency at the DSRA, which is the Department of Student Resident Affairs. Statistics will be updated weekly, on a weekly basis, on how many spaces are available. So we believe that this will decrease the over-dependence on students on the SRC. And this will put an end to sexual exploitation and rape culture, especially on our sisters who are first-year students. We also believe that the money that is paid by students for accommodation should resonate with the quality and general standard and conditions of the building that they are located in. So in the next year, which is 2021, we call for a zero increment in all UKZN residences, because we all know that they are not up to standard, and the money that we are paying for those residences is absurd, really. We also believe that not more than 2 students shall share a room. We want to do away with this thing of students sharing a room while there are 4 or 3. Because we believe that once that students are more than 2 in a room, their rights to privacy is infringed. And it's an insult really to the amount of money that we pay for accommodation for each semester. But if it happens that 2 students share a room, their accommodation fee should not be the same or equal to the student which is paying for a single room. We also call for special cases to be prioritized. For instance, for students who fall under the disability unit, disability unit should be housed on on-campus residences, as their case is a special case and it should be prioritized. We also, as the EFFSC, through the Office of the Resident Affairs Officers, we call for the landlords to be made responsible for the loss of their tenants' belongings within their premises. Landlords should make sure that their buildings also have backup generators in cases of power outage. Otherwise, if they refuse that, they will have to be liable for any damage that will be taking place to the students' perishables. We also believe and call for that residences should be student-friendly. They have to have well-improved facilities, and also under that point, each resident should have a 24-hour working study area with printing and photocopying facilities. And also, our RAOs will ensure that all student residences have a working and unlimited high-speed Wi-Fi, which we most prefer to be UKZN data. And all residences have to have enough equipment for laundry services. However, we understand very well that the issue of accommodation denotes from that of the land. Hence, we as fighters say that accommodation is land. And on issues of campus safety and security, We will make sure, as the EFFSC-led SRC, that there's a 24-hour protection and guard escort that will be provided to all students, whether they live in private accommodation, whether they live off campus, but that escort has to be available for all students. And also we believe that, or we'll make sure that the security staff is added and well equipped. I mean, it doesn't make sense that 5 people will be expected to protect the lives of 7,000 students with just pepper spray and with no live ammunition. I mean, how can they protect us when they also have to protect themselves? It doesn't make sense. So as I've said, that as the EFFSC-led SRC, once we get into office, we'll make sure that the security staff is indeed added. And also we call for fully functional CCTV cameras in all areas of the campuses and residences, because we find that in most cases when there's been a strike and the building is burnt, the university will be quick to provide footages of students burning building or whatever the case may be, but each and every time when a student loses his or her belongings, the CCTV cameras just happen not to work for whatever reason. So as the EFFSC-led SRC will make sure that all CCTV cameras on campus are fully functional to help the students and make sure that we are safe. And also in that part of safety and security, we'll ensure that there are panic buttons on each and every corners of the UKZN campuses and residences to ensure the safety of our students, and most especially females. We also believe that under safety and security, female students should be provided with pepper spray for their safety, and all residences should have first aid kits. On safety, on health, we as the EFFSC-led SRC will make sure that the health and wellness of the students are taken seriously. We demand that the clinic working hours are extended, and then there's a campus-based 24 hours ambulance. Campus clinic should serve students to its maximum capacity, with an additional day allocated of Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. strictly for those who cannot make it to the clinic during the week. Students or under religious freedom, we believe that we've seen also that students are not being treated equally, especially students who are under NATESA. They must never have their religious rights to be undermined in the manner of which is happening, because we see that these students have to go to church on Saturday, but also find that during exam, they have to write exams on Saturdays, and they have to attend on Saturday, which means that their right to freedom of religion is infringed. So we'll make sure that they're not forced to attend or engage on lessons on Saturdays, or we should just cancel out Saturday classes and exams. And also we believe that all religious organizations should have one central committee where each and every organization will be represented to prevent the sting of other church groups to be seen as superior than the others. We also have awareness campaigns which we want to coordinate as the ECRC-led SRC. The first one is the one pad and one condom. We believe that if the university health system can provide condoms for sexual pleasure based on an individual's choice, then it should be able to provide sanitary towels for needy students. I mean, we cannot prioritize sex over an act of nature because we don't choose to go in periods. It's something that occurs naturally. So we will advocate for the fundraising of free sanitary towels for female students, and we will mobilize with the relevant departments to supply and donate free pads or free sanitary towels, and these towels must be made available to all female students on campus without them having to go and ask for these towels either from CHAS or whichever office or even the SRC. They have to be readily available to these students. And we're also planning on having lectures and dialogues, especially on gender-based violence, women empowerment, patriarchy in the university spaces, rape culture, as well as discrimination on the differently abled students. The EFFSC-led SRC is totally against the exploitation of outsourced Black workers in the institution of higher learning through labor brokers. Hence, we are unapologetic to uphold the campaign of outsourcing must fall. Under the sports administration, we believe that all sport codes matter. They have to be treated the same way. You can't tell me that soccer has to be treated better or as superior than other sporting codes. The budgets for race leagues, sports registration fees must cater for the facilities and equipment as well as maintenance, and they must be open and transparent to all sport members, to all sport codes members. We also believe that a campus ambulance has to be ever present during league games. We also believe that, or we also make sure that sports and cultural activities will be inclusive of each and every student on the UKZN campuses, especially the differently abled students. On shuttle and transport services, the EFFSC-led SRC will ensure that students, including those who live in private accommodation, from all residences, will be able to have transports from all residences, either the morning or late. And also, this shuttle will include medical students who have to go to hospitals. Among the things that we plan on doing for the shuttle and transport services is that the transport services shuttle should end at 12 a.m. and in campuses where the 2 a.m. shuttle is not available during exams, the EFFSC-led SRC will make sure that it is introduced. We also undertake quality assurance on all services that will be offered by the institution to the students, such as libraries. The EFFSC-led SRC will ensure that all unused books in the libraries will be donated to charity. That way, it will make space in the library for the recommended books, and also making sure that the recommended books are of recent editions and enough for all students, and that in libraries there's enough space and tables for all students who want to study in the library at any time. And also, we wish to reiterate that if we get into office, or when we get to office, we'll make sure that the SRC offices are a workplace and not a friend zone. Friends of SRC members must stay in their lanes. This is to ensure that the students are comfortable in raising and reporting and discussing their private and confidential matters with the leadership without having to fear who is chilling at the office, as we've seen happening in other campuses. And we also make sure that RA vacancies and posts are available, like library assistants, must be fairly advertised all over the campuses to ensure for equal libraries, labs, and cafes. We also believe that libraries, cafes, and labs should employ students. International students must also have a separate office dealing specifically with their issues relating to academics, traveling, documents, including passports and visa, renewal assistance. Because of time, I will not be able to finish the organization's manifesto, but on my last words, I'd like to say that we as the EFFSC, we support the call to unite and fight against COVID-19, working together to ensure that all our students and staff are protected from COVID-19. And then we also call for all students to come back, and we believe that in as much as the COVID may have disturbed our term of office, but we shall overcome, and we'd like to urge all students to vote for the EFFSC on all portfolios on the 26th and the 27th of October. Thank you very much.
No CPW. We've got a few questions from our students. First one will be, how do you intend to be accountable to the masses?
Okay. As we have seen that the campuses that took over the CR, okay, as we've seen that the EFFSC-led SRCs have been having live videos to ensure that we report back to students on each and every matter. If we get into office, we'll make sure that we'll continue to have those live videos, and we'll also, if the situation goes back to normal, we'll ensure that each and every quarter of the semester we're going to have a student mass meeting.
Okay. And our second question will be, how will you fundraise for postgrads?
Okay, there are various companies that are willing to fund postgrads, depending on their research and their what's this? Their research and specializations. So what we'll do is that we'll knock on each and every door of each and every sponsor that may be willing to support our students.
Okay. And the third question would be, the robot system is clear about exclusions rules. How would you ensure no student is excluded?
Okay, so what's happening is that the exclusions policy, well, no one seems to understand how it works, but as the SRC or as the EFFSC-led SRC will make sure that no student will be academically excluded next year, and will do away with the system because it has expired and it's under review. So once we get into office, one of the first things that we'll do is to ensure that the academic exclusion policy is redone, because the old one has expired and it doesn't serve the needs of the students. It doesn't cater for them.
And the last question will be, how do you plan to address GBV on campus?
Okay, as I've stated that on our manifesto, we'll ensure that we are going to have dialogues and talks to ensure that the students are made aware of gender-based violence, that the students, especially females and males, also are educated about the gender-based violence. And also working with the RMS, we make sure that all perpetrators of gender-based violence are dealt with, and also we work with the police to ensure that the students know that they can report and that the law will be on their side. If a female student, or a male, because gender-based violence is also violence against men, we'll make sure that each and every person who's a perpetrator of that will be dealt with accordingly.
Thank you very much. That was Nosiphiwe Ngcobo, EFFSC.
Thank you.
The next organization is the South African Student Congress Organization, SASCO, represented by Moses Nkambako.
Greetings to the UKZN populace at large. Greetings to the SASCO national leadership that is with us here today. Greetings to the provincial leadership of SASCO, to the UKZ alumni, to the convocation, and greetings to the students at large, which constitute of the large stakeholder. Today, as the incoming president of UKZN as a whole, I am here to present the manifesto of SASCO. Since SASCO assumed duties in the SRC in most campuses, together with the sister organizations in the Progressive Youth Alliances, which is the PYA, the ANC Youth League and the YCL, we have maintained a good record of 100%, even though there were shortcomings during the term of office, and we shall accelerate the transformation agenda within the campus, then the institution notwithstanding those shortfalls, which can be rectified. The massive financial exclusion saw more than 2,000 students, the majority which is postgraduates, as a result of not affording to pay the 15% that was required by the institution. This came as a surprise because the government had already started paying for the historical debt that was incurred by the students in the previous years. Part of the urgent issues that the incoming SRC will have to start engaging on will be the issue of registration, especially in light of the COVID-19 and its implication on the economy, resulting in the massive loss of jobs. Part of the problems of the present state of campus and the institution include some challenges that have been faced by our governance and leadership structures from the class representative level of the SRC executive. SASCO must ensure that all our progressive forces in the form of SRC, house committees, sports unions, and class representatives from colleges are well organized to transform the institution to a maximum level that will see the students from the poor backgrounds and working class graduating and continuing with our postgraduate studies. Focusing on research that will change the society, because we are members of society before we are becoming students. However, all that being said and done, SASCO has a good track record of delivering to students. The manifesto that we are here to present today to the UKZN populace as a whole, it is divided into 5 subsections which are categorized of key interest in the quest to deliver on the demands of students and improving the student experience in UKZN as a whole. What we have done as SASCO in our presentation of our manifesto, we have decided to divide our manifesto into 5. The beginning points that we'd like our students to note down, it's the point number 1, which is speaking of improving the structural capacity of the SRC. Our second point, it's the issue of residencies and private accommodations. Our third point, it speaks of the academic and transformation. Our fourth point, it speaks of postgraduate and funding. And our last point, it speaks on sports and healthy in our UKZN campuses. Starting with our first point. Our first point speaks of improving the structural capacity of the SRC. Under this point, in the implementation of the new SRC constitution that was approved by the Council in June 2018, the substructures were not incorporated in terms of the following new structural changes. House committees, sports unions, class representatives, and school committees have existed outside the broader mandate tasked to the SRC, while for the last 2 terms, no school committees were formed. These structures are substructures of the SRC, not of sports department, nor the SRA. The class representatives are not substructures of the lecturers, but they are SRC substructures. This is something that must be noted by the lecturers that we have within different colleges, which are acting as gods towards students. The class representatives that we have in all colleges, they do not belong to the lecturers, but they only belong to the SRC, and they're supposed to be mandated by the SRC members into ensuring that they champion each and every issue that our students are faced with in all colleges. It is for this reason that the SRC has several shortfalls, because it has to deal with the issues that should be handled by its substructures. It must be the priority of the incoming SRC to rectify these structural deficiencies. It is our role as the organization to make sure that the governance structures are well coordinated and organized to champion the issues of students in addressing these challenges. SASCO has in addressing these challenges that we have faced in different colleges that we have within our campuses. SASCO has brought these following resolutions to the table. As we all know that SASCO, it's all about bringing new proposals, new ideas, and resolutions to all the issues that we are currently facing as an institution. The resolutions are as follows: the integration of house committees and sports union constitution with that of the SRC. The formulation of policy documents of class representatives that will define the duties and responsibilities of the class representatives. The allocation of offices to the sports union, house committees, school committees in student unions buildings so that they are accessible to students. The maximizing the capacity of the SRC by establishing procedural and standard operation channels with its substructures. The election of school committees as envisaged in the SRC constitution, this will ensure that the matters are dealt with at school level where many academical decisions are being implemented for colleges. Ensure transparency and accountability through the student parliament that has been convened for the SRC to account on its budget and implementations of program of actions for different sports code, for different events, and whatever programs that are planned on campus by different clubs and societies, including the SRC itself. Under residence and private accommodation, the resolutions that SASCO has brought forward under residence and private accommodations are as follows. The improving the state of residences and renovations of bathrooms, kitchens, including replacements of kitchens, appliances in all residences. The maintenance of Wi-Fi must be improved both on campus and off-campus residences. The installation of UKZN data in all list buildings. The formulation of private accommodation student committee, which was before known as PASCO, to address the issues in communes working under the Office of Campus Residence Affairs Officer. The improving the security on residences as the number of theft cases continue to rise and investigations must be thoroughly conducted. Getting rid of these buildings that are multi-purpose than only habiting students, because this poses a great risk on the safety of students. The revival of house committees by ensuring that they are well orientated and understand their roles and responsibilities, including their powers. The implementation of more social programs to promote social cohesion amongst the student population residing in the residences. The implementation of academic monitoring programs to ensure academic excellence is promoted, and further reintroduce academic excellency awards at residence level. This will help encourage our students to excel academically even more. The university must insource the maintenance capacity, then paying for a service that the university is capable of providing itself. Under the academic and transformation point, as we all know that SASCO deals with academic excellency as it's one of its pillars that it advocates more. Under the academic and transformation, improving communication between class representatives and the SRC will allow a proper channel of addressing issues college levels. Ensuring that the school committees are elected and contemplated in the SRC constitution. Initiating interventions programs to assist the risk and underperforming students, thereby preventing academic exclusion. Release of analyzed results statistics to use data in the decision-making processes for intervention through extra tutorials. Introduction of biometrics in lecture venues to monitor attendance and remove the DP requirement, thus allowing all students to be allowed to write an exam despite having obtained lower class marks. Building lanes on residences to avoid the congestion and at the main campus lanes. Readmissions must be done through a committee that has powers equal to the powers of the CCOM and the ACOM. The Re-ADCOM Readmission Committee must be formed and recognized through the amending and academic rules of readmissions. In all of those processes that we have mentioned, the SRC campus level and including executive level must also form part and parcel of those decisions, since we know that the SRC will forever be biased towards the students that continue to vote for them and putting them into offices to fight for their issues. Under the issue of postgraduate and funding, which has been a major issue that we have had to face over the past couple of years, more especially the previous year that we are coming from. It has seemed as if postgraduates have been neglected and are not being provided with funding. And as the incoming SRC, we will be working on the issue of postgraduate funding and ensuring that our postgraduates will receive funding and also receive food packages or parcels that will ensure that they will be able to go to bed with a full stomach. Under postgraduates and funding, there is a need for government to intervene and support the postgraduates, lobbying the engagement with the government at all levels should be initiated immediately to provide financial support to the needy postgraduates. The NRF, UKZN bursaries, and other external postgraduate sponsors are still not enough. Hence, a new postgraduate model must be introduced. NSFAS should extend its hand to honors students, especially those who are within the N+2 rule, which is the same as the honors degree. UKZN Foundation must also do its role by sourcing and attracting potential sponsors for postgraduates, working together with corporate relations. Through the partnership with the private sectors, the government and research centers, UKZN must provide apprenticeship opportunities for postgraduates to gain experience during their studies so that they are employable for completing their degrees. On the other hand, this will provide a source of income through these stipends. The N+2 rule, with this one, we want to put it clear with this issue of the N+2 rule. The N+2 rule must be rejected as it does not count the number of years a student has had funding. It is another form of limiting the student number of students eligible for funding, thus leading to the institution calling our students as professional students without knowing that they have had issues of financial exclusion and so forth. No payment for academic record is required internally, especially when applying for postgraduate studies. And then on our last point, on health and security, in ensuring that these matters receive adequate attention, as they are a key importance in the student experience at university, the current SSO that will deploy as SASCO should be changed to Sports Healthy and Security Office, SHSO, and take the student funding aspects to be the duties of the campus treasurer. The university must raise funds to build a UKZN stadium that will in return make a profit to fund more students, that are participating in sports within our campuses that we have in UKZN. It will also assist in bringing games from the PSL, from Umvela, and even from SAP, bringing them to our institution and hiring the stadiums that we have, which will generate more income for our sports infrastructure, for our post-grad funding, and even for all the food parcels and projects that are still yet to be done by our SSO. Frequent sporting programs must be carried out to promote a healthy lifestyle and social cohesion. Sports unions must have a wing that will cater to the disability unit students that are involved in sport. The UKZN clinic must operate 24 hours. This should be done in partnership with the College of Health Science and engaging government at a provincial level to come on board. Awareness programs must be carried out against gender-based violence and discrimination of disabled students and the LGBTQI communities. The installation of panic buttons between Agric, Commerce, and main campus to the surrounding residences. Increase the capacity of escort services to reduce the waiting period of students. Improving the service by CHASU by ensuring that there is continuous supply of condoms and sanitary pads. Lastly, we would like to encourage the university as SASCO, as we are advocating for student issues that must be resolved due to left unattended for the semester. We have our students that will be occupying residences in November and December. We are urging the institution working together with the SRC that is incoming and the previous SRC to ensure that we advocate for NSFAS to provide meal allowances for our students in the period of November and in the period of December, as they will be occupying the residences. Our students must be provided with meal allowances that will sustain them during these 2 last months that we will be currently facing. We are saying to our students that we have in residences and in all different campuses, please vote for SASCO on the 22nd and the 27th of October, as we will be championing all these issues that we have mentioned here on our manifesto reading that we have read to our students. SASCO is the only home and hope for our students that have issues, and even those students that do not even have issues, as SASCO is an organization that puts its students first and will forever do so, as SASCO will always will put students first and will always be at the front. Amandla.
Thank you very much, Moses. Moses, I've got a few questions from students. First one will be, they want to know if you are aware of their problems, and if so, what have you done about the problems of permits and data?
We are very much aware of all the issues that our students are currently facing. On the issue of permits, there are different emails that have been allocated to us by the task team that is in charge of all the permits that are released in different campuses. Students have been sending through their emails to us, and we've been forwarding our emails to those task team members that are in charge of the return, which are doing the selections of return. There have been appeals that have been sent through to us of students that they have sent to our ADOs, that they have sent to the task team that is in charge of permit. What we normally do is we always remind them on permits to please note the emails that have been sent by students and ensure that the processes of students receiving permits are fast-tracked. If currently there are any students that have not received their permits as yet, they can feel free to go to the university website and take our numbers from there so that we can assist them with the issues of permits at any time. They can get us on WhatsApp. We are available on Facebook. We are also available on all SASCO platforms or pages that are easily accessible for students to speak to us on the issue of permits. We will advocate and champion all those issues. 90% of our students that we've assisted with permits, they have returned. Some of our students are due to return this coming Friday who have the issues of permits, and we will also continue to champion those issues. On the issue of data, the new information that we have received is that students will be receiving their data from the 21st, 22nd, which will be MTN, Telkom, and CellC. On Friday, it's going to be students that are using Telkom that will be receiving their data. We further have a duration of a week from Saturday, Sunday, until the 30th of October, whereby we're going to be dealing with students that have not received their data packages. They must talk to us directly so that we resolve all those issues of students that have not received data. Our phones are easily accessible. We're an SRC that is transparent, that is always on the ground, that is always for student issues, and that will always be for students at all times.
Moses, another question will be, any updates on the new rest students' accommodation?
With the issue of accommodation, more especially in terms of UKZN Westville campus, we are calling on all students that have an issue of residency. Some of them, they've been coming to us to speak on the issue of accommodation. We have managed to cater for those students, as we are always situated there by the SRA, as we also have our SRC members there by P-Block, who are always advocating for students to receive their residencies. At any time, if they have not been allocated as yet, they can feel free to contact me in any social media that's available. It's Facebook, in our SASCO Westville page, even on my number directly. They can contact me. There are spaces that we have been able to allocate, that we've been able to identify there by campus. We will be able to provide them with those spaces that we will occupy. And then the issue of residencies that are going to be introduced. There will be new residencies that are going to be introduced after we have had our meetings with the management to speak on the issue as to how can we resolve the issue of residency, which is currently a crisis there by UKZN Westville campus, not only in Westville campus. In Pietermaritzburg, there have been new residencies that have been introduced by the outgoing SRC, which are very student-friendly, which cater for a greater number of students, and which are very beautiful, by the way. They are more like of hotels of which we are dealing with a standard which is very high, not just any standard that is low. We are an SRC of high caliber, and that also deals with a very fashionable and known things. Not all the residences that we have managed to shut down and bring new things, which are residences that the shower heads that are almost similar to those of hotels of high calibers.
The last question, Moses, will be, what are some of your organization's success since you assumed office?
There are so many successes that we have managed to achieve this year. One of them being the one of academics. This year, I think we've all seen a greater number of our students achieve passing with a pass rate of 90%, 95% and above. A majority of our students have went back to green, coming from orange. Some have even returned from at risk. Some of our students have been readmitted back. All readmissions that have came through, I am pleased to say that we've managed to achieve 100% return of all readmissions that have been submitted by our students. Another issue that we have managed to achieve, it's the issue of our final results of our students that have been receiving CR towards their final results, which is COVID-related issues. With those students, what has happened is that we have managed to have them rewrite the test of first semester, which is something that has never been done before. First semester seems as if it has not ended. Those students who couldn't submit their assignments on time because of the network issues, COVID-related issues, they were in hospital, they were hospitalized, they went to see doctors, they provided doctor's notes to us. We've managed to champion their issue whereby they provided another chance to submit their assignments. They'll be given another chance to write their test that they have not been able to write, thus giving them a second opportunity for them to complete their degrees now. We've also managed to achieve the issue of special exams. Our students that have one module, 2 modules remaining, they'll be able to write their special exams, thus giving them an opportunity to finish their degrees this year. There are so many issues that we've managed to champion, and there are so many issues that we know we will be able to champion when we've assumed our duties in office.
Thank you very much. Delos Moses Nkambako, SASCO. Will be South African Democratic Student Movement, presented by Mzwakhe Buthelezi.
Amandla. Indlovu. Fellow UKZN students, our dearest chancellors, head of all colleges, and deans of all schools, our respective and dedicated UKZN administrative staff, specifically to the small community of Edgewoodians, UKZN Edgewood campus, Amabinga, and various religious organizations. I am Mzwakhe Buthelezi, representing UKZN Edgewood campus, South African Democratic Student Movement, serving as the General Secretary of the organization, contesting on the portfolio of Student Support Services Officers, Campus Representative Council. Under our chairperson, Lamlani Mbeki Mdluli. He said, I put it all in your hands, Shenge. In the name of our Lord, I greet you all. I greet you all there in homes, private accommodations, offices, residences, and you on top of that mountain trying to get a clear network coverage. Amandla. I would be making a mistake if I persist without mentioning the threat that was posed to us by COVID-19. 0% students were not affected by this global pandemic. A certain portion is still affected at homes, network and data problems, and sometimes devices. As SADSM, South African Democratic Movement, we are fully aware, and it is important to respect those heroes, conquerors, that are still fighting the battle of their academics, of obtaining their degrees under such conditions. Therefore, to all the various student organizations that are contesting this year, I call for political tolerance. Let us be diplomatic. We are brothers and daughters of Africa. We are sons and daughters of the soil. Unfortunately, the SADSM Edgewood campus is contesting on 3 portfolios. Students usually call those 3 portfolios the 3 elephants, the big 3, the Sheng and Makebas. I should make this clear. It is not that we have a shortage of members to contest on other portfolios. No, we don't have the shortage of members. It's just that as SADSM, we honor and respect excellency. We honor the nominated on other portfolios that we are not contesting. Therefore, SADSM will be contesting on the following portfolios: CRC, Finance, under Sfiso Feliqiniso Buthelezi, CRC RAO under Vugani Skandaba Zulu, and the Student Support Services under Mzwakhe Buthelezi, myself. I will also highlight on the issue of voting. I don't know, maybe it's a highlight or an advice to students. Students should practice the voting that is based on service delivery and leadership skills. Sometimes it happens as student organizations that we are influenced by the eloquence within our organization, then we put certain candidates to contest on behalf of our organizations, and then when they contest and win, they start abusing the power. We have encountered so many incidents, such incidents so many times perpetuated by various organizations. The most painful story that encouraged me to enter these elections: student grievances on their academics and residencies. Then, some students end up failing the modules. Therefore, class representative committee is my solution that links the SRC and the students on their academics. I am willing to establish and dedicate myself in establishing that committee on our campus, Edgewood. As South African democratic student movement, a voice of reason is needed for your trust. Therefore, that voice is trust us, vote for us. Trust us to drive fair and good student governance through dedication and respect. Trust us to promote student democracy and support on your academics. Trust us to promote sports and entertainment as part of psychologically healing to the affected or affected. Trust us and vote for us in making sure that the first year's students are assisted and are able to get permanent residencies with their offers and are familiar with our huge campuses. Trust us in ensuring that there is a plenty of rooms for all of us. No students shall be overcrowded on residencies. I am sorry to mention this, but where I come from, there are 5 students per room with a small kitchen and a bathroom that is suitable for 2 to 3. That's another story. I fully understand the competition for residences in Durban, but customers' comfort comes first, and those customers are students. Trust us to helping the helpless without any allegations or negative perceptions associated with corruption. Kubalulekile ukuthi sicacise futhi sikubeke ngembaba kukhanye ukuthi ba iSADSM izimisela ukulwa izikhumuka izicathulo ilwela izinhloso ngqangi zabafundi. Uma abafundi bevotela lenhlangano awukho umzabalaza abawudayisayo, kepha bavotela ukufezwa kwezidingo zabo ngokuphazima kweso. Ngikugcizelele lokhu futhi ngikucacise, akukho umzabalazo odayisayo lapha. Inhlangano ababona ukuthi idinga ithuba bayinikeza ithuba leyo nhlangano yeSADSM yabafundi. Ngiyabonga kakhulu.
Thank you very much, Mzwakhe. I've got a question for you. How will your organization deal with the issues of resident shortages?
That is a good question. Thank you very much. Well, as I know that there is a higher competition of residencies, especially on Durban, because there are 3 universities, if I'm not making a mistake, that are operating around Durban. So SADSM will help the Department of Housing, if I can say so, the Department of Housing in finding extra buildings. I think you are answered.
Okay. Thank you very much. That was Mzwakhe from SADSM.
Thank you very much. Amanda.
Next organization to present will be the Pan-Africanist Student Movement of Azania, PASMA, presented by Nkosinathi Masinga.
I would like to take this opportunity and greet you all. As PASMA chairperson, on behalf of PASMA, I'll start by introducing what is PASMA. PASMA is Pan-Africanist Student Movement of Azania, which will be fighting for students, standing for students on every kind of situations that they're facing. Our aim is to do away with capitalist system of education and do away with poverty and also reduce unemployment nationally and also inside of the campus premises. PASMA is not new on our campus. Was there before 19 something, but it was it was excluded after the death of Makabane. I think we all know Makabane, that one we used to visit. That place was named after a guy who fought for us, after a hero, after a president of PASMA. Let me go straight to our manifesto. First point of our manifesto is climate justice. As PASMA, we are willing to contribute towards climate justice. How are we going to contribute toward it? By asking and urging the university to allow us to attend 4 times a day, 4 times a week at school, excluding Friday. By so doing that, we are contributing because our buses that we are using contribute carbon dioxide, which pollutes our air and everything. So instead of not studying on Fridays, we use online learning because we saw that COVID-19, as first global crisis, has came to us and introduced new things. So we had to adapt and adjust to a new way of learning, which is online learning, which was difficult for students to understand and how to use their digital things, like their digital devices such as laptops and phones, how to use Moodle and everything. So we're asking the university to at least allow us to attend 4 times a week, and then on Fridays, let's practice online learning. Our second point on our manifesto is standard income, national standard income. By seeing that many students are struggling, because not all of us come from different, from same backgrounds. Like we are coming from different backgrounds. Not all of us are rich. Not all of us, our parents, have something to eat at home. So some of us has to use NSFAS money to provide for our families. So we have the way to fight that by introducing a Bitcoin revolution. Our president has introduced, our current president, which is Ramaphosa, has introduced Bitcoin revolution nationally. So we're asking universities to allow students to learn how to trade. That can contribute to NRF students who are using NRF, because we heard that NRF students are not getting any meal allowance. So they can learn how to trade and help themselves, even in the campus or outside the campuses after finishing their degrees. Going to our last point of our manifesto. Our manifesto will be short and clear, which is tackling the student absences. We had lecturers, tutors were complaining, and other perks that were not attended by students. Student lack attendance, like they don't attend at all. Due to, we know that one thing that contributes to that, it's hunger, by the way. Not having something to eat, not knowing what you will eat at the university when you attended a lecturer. Because NSFAS is not enough to us. That's a fact. That's a fact. Because you have to buy more than 2 books for each module. Each book maybe would cost 1.2, 1,000. You will have nothing to eat after all. So we are asking the university to provide us with a meal 2 times a week or 3 times a week. That's all we can ask from the university. I know they are soft-hearted, they are parents, they feel for others. because science students were being provided with meal. We saw that there was a camp that used to stand there in Westville and provide students with meal. Why don't they provide all of us? Because we all need that. We're all students and we all needed to be treated equally. And we're asking the university to also, we had issues this year at the beginning of the year. Students, when we had to pay half of the money, like 15%, I mean, to get clearance, I mean, for them to register. So we're asking to university, this year we had money like for, we haven't used money for entertainment. Why don't you ask the university to use that money for entertainment? It's either to pay for food that we'll be having, for meal that we'll be having, or to cover for students that will be owing the university next year. As a PASMA is not new to students. Some knows PASMA. PASMA is willing to contribute and fight for students financially, academically, and every kind of way. I know students won't trust us because we're still new. And it's not our aim to win elections, but our aim is to show that students can have their views, can release themselves to present themselves to the leaders that will be leading. So allowing students to tell you as leaders what they want, that's a thing that PASMA want to promote. Because leaders take decisions without engaging with students, which is wrong. We don't promote that as PASMA leaders. So as PASMA, we'll be standing for students because we will save and suffer and sacrifice for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nkosinati. I have a few questions to ask. Do you think attending online classes will benefit the poor students at home?
No, I don't think it benefits them. Because while they're at home, they're suffering. They don't have data, they don't have nothing. But it can also benefit them because while they're at home, they can provide for them, for their parents, and also be there, like, doing everything together. Like, bakwazi ukuhlala nabazali babo baprovidele while they study. But it's hard because being poor, it means you don't have anything at home. Like maybe so they have to share space in order to study, so it's difficult sometimes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nkosinati. That was Nkosinati Masinga from PASMA. Next up, we have the Westville campus representative, Anela Shange from College of Health Sciences. Warm greetings to you all. Warm greetings to you all.
As the college representative of health sciences, I will ensure that all health sciences students that apply for health sciences courses get their firm offers as soon as possible, and all their funding issues are dealt with. All health sciences students who require clinical practices should be provided with transport all the time. As the college representative, I will put pressure for some labs to be open for 24 hours for students to be able to access them at all times. As a college representative, I will call for the temporary residences for first-year students who stay far away. As a college representative of health sciences, I will put pressure to the university to not allow any academic exclusions. Issues pertaining internal transfers must be resolved as soon as possible for all students qualifying for internal transfers to be given firm offers early to prepare themselves. I will ensure that all students are allowed to do change of curriculum without any hassles. As the college representative, I will ensure that I will ensure that all the allowances for health sciences students are deposited early, so that those students who are required to go for clinical practices have no issues. Health sciences students should be provided with all the necessities to be able to handle the issues of online learning. As the college representative, I will make sure that the university make it a priority that all students that are required to go to campus for practicals are well protected, all of them. And as the college representative, I will ensure that all health sciences students that are required to buy themselves instrument are given enough time to purchase required instrument, or the university should rather purchase them for them, because some students are coming from poor backgrounds and they don't have money to buy themselves the required instrument. Some students are not even able to attend the practicals because they don't have the required instruments. Some students are not given enough time to buy the required instrument. Mine, it is very simple. It is to be there when health sciences students need help and not to neglect them. As a deployee of EFFSC, I will ensure that student issues and students are put at first at all times. As we all know, College of Health Sciences is one of the biggest faculties. Learners are overloaded with work and are given little to no time to prepare for tests. The faculty doesn't represent the racial demographics of the country, where Africans are the majority. If you are to look at the college, other races are more dominant, where it is supposed to be 80% Africans in this college, as we perform better and we are more numerical superior. As with that being said, I urge you all health sciences students to vote for me on the upcoming elections. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anele Sheng. I've got a few questions for you. How would you ensure protection of students outside campus?
Outside campus is in like students that are at home right now, or
anyway, it could be off campus or at home.
Oh, okay. I think like the university should make sure that all students that I don't understand. Please rephrase the question.
It's how would you ensure protection of students outside campus? Students that are doing practicals.
Or okay, I think the university should make sure that they provide, like I said, they should provide transport for students that require clinical practices at all times. So if the university provide the transport, then it will be easier and the student will be more safer, I think.
Okay, and as a health science college rep, how would you solve the issue of more enrollments than placements?
More enrollments isn't like more students from other races.
No, enrollment students.
Or as if they increase the enrollment of students.
Yes, yes, I'm a placement, yes.
Or I think the university should rather I think the university, okay, usually when they accept offers for students, they end up on 40 or 41 points. So I think the university should give those students like some chances to also enroll. I don't know.
But how would you solve the problem? As you Anele, how would you solve that problem?
Of enrollments.
Yes, rather than placements.
As if I'm given the chance, I will make sure that as the health sciences, they change the way they do things, and make sure that they enroll more students, because sometimes it happens that students who passed very well and did well but are not accepted in university because of points. I think that's the problem because of their academic APS. So I think the university should make sure that students okay, usually what they do is that when students are applying, they are told that if you get specific marks, you're gonna be accepted. But when they give out the firm offers, they start with those who did well. So I think that is not fair. Because all students should be given an opportunity, to start. So I'll make sure that students that are qualifying are given an opportunity.
Okay. Thank you very much. That was Anele, individual candidate of Westville campus. And now we have Umncedisi Sibiya from the College of Law and Management, Westville Campus Representative, EFFSC. Westville Campus College Representative.
Presiding officer. Presiding officer, deputy officer, and all members of SGDL, please receive my greetings. And I would also like to humbly greet all students, even those who are still at homes. We are with you. My name is Manifesto. I'm contesting for a College of Law and Management. I came to ask you all to vote for me. If you vote for me, I'll make sure of the following. I'll make sure that all students receive equally education at all times, that every student is getting fairly treatment at all times, that the curriculum is standardized. As we are approaching the fourth industrial revolution, we need to be equipped for that such. I think if for all courses, if you introduce some modules like coding, so that we'll be equipped to stand in this fourth industrial revolution. And I'll also make sure that the institution account for conducive studying environment for all students, that no student is discriminated or feel discriminated in any way, that all student voices are heard and attended at all times, that the university approach the private and public sector to give students practicals, because we are facing the problem that students do graduate, but they lack practical knowledge. And I'll also make sure that the College of Law and Management opens for disabled people, and also COVID-19 have proven that the university is capable of having an online learning. So I'll ask the university to open to those who are willing to study to continue with online learning. And also, the listing of robot system must not apply to the student at the foundation level. At least it must start when they reach to a mainstream. And I'll also make sure that there will be at least 1 or 2 bilingual tutorials for every module, so that students may understand in their own language the curriculum is mine. And I will also make sure that ICS must service all computers regularly, so that every LAN computer is working at all times. And I'll be closely working with all class reps from all modules. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Umncedisi. I've got a few questions for you. First question will be, how will you increase intake of African students?
I think as I have stated in my manifesto, that University of KwaZulu-Natal have to open an online learning for those who are willing to do so. By doing that, there will be spaces for those who want to enroll to the university.
And then my last question will be, what do you mean by standardized curriculum?
I mean to change the curriculum as we're approaching the fourth industrial revolution. So we need to equip to get all the information we need to conquer this thing of fourth industrial revolution. Like as well on commerce, that those basics that you need to know, like coding, like using computer. From commerce you need to work with computers, but we don't have those modules in commerce in some courses, so we need those things.
Okay, thank you very much, Umncedisi. That was Umncedisi contesting for individuals at Westville Campus, College of Law and Management.
College of Health Sciences from SASCO.
Our next candidate is Utamsanga Mncube from Westville Campus College representative from Health Science SASCO.
Greetings, everyone. I'm a trusted candidate deployed by SASCO. So I'm under the portfolio of College of Health Science representative. So the mandate is clear. Under my leadership, there will be no financial exclusion, that being 15% next year in our first semester. Secondly, for the safety of students, buses must be made available from 12 midnight up until to 6 a.m. in the morning for off-campus students. Driver's license should be charged on students' account. Also, within this college, we must increase undergrad intake, especially in the Department of Pharmacology, in the Department of Dental Therapy. Also, we must, within this college, there must be an increase in postgrad intake as well as supervisors, and also funding to these students. And also, I will lobby that NSFAS must fund postgrad students. As we all know, that has been the case this year at the beginning. So we also want to bring back health science access programs and bridging courses. And top achievers within this college, wishing to pursue medicine at medical school must be given that opportunity at first priority. Free academic record or academic transcript to all students within this college. And till today, I'm quite aware of there are students who have been trying to access or to get their academic record, and some they even have paid for them, but the university hasn't made any arrangements in providing those academic transcripts, of which that will be the first issue that must be addressed, of which I'm certain that I'll be definitely taking over on this position. So this will be my first task, to make sure that all students will get their academic record and proceed with their application. So also we must have a free change of curriculums, free change of curriculum forms for post-matriculants. Further to that, I will lobby the funding for resident tutors and supplementary instruction leaders within this college. The robot system and exclusion policy must be reviewed within this college, and also the meal allowance and book allowance must be increased due to national inflation. it's very sad to see out of these unfairly meal and book allowance that we are getting, it's so sad to see a pharmacy student having to pay for their national school counselor certificates. It's so sad to see out of these unfairly meal allowances that we get, to see a student having to pay for this academic record. Feeding schemes must be made available more especially to those students doing clinics. As we all know, that food insecurity is a problem, not just in South Africa, but also in our students within this college, in students in generally, as we are all in varsity. College must provide all needy students with equipment, especially in the School of Optometry. It's so sad that you will find that a student who is NSFAS funded and they are ought to buy an equipment that's cost about 17,000 so that they can carry out their experiments in their laboratories. University must provide food vouchers to students without NSFAS. And last but not least, I will also propose a donation office at which people may donate. So it will be basically the basic needs, your sanitary pads, your soaps, your roll-on toothbrush, etc. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samsangwa. I've got a few questions from students. One will be, what would you do about the College of Health Science not being honest to students about the BMed science degrees, saying they can change to MBCHB, but later found out that that is not true?
So that calls for transparency. I'm, for one, a student who have been through that incident. I came here and I was told if I take this program, I'll be able to change, only to find that it wasn't even approved on the curriculum. So it just calls for transparency from the onset. If they won't be able, just state it as it is. They won't be able, then giving students a false hope.
Okay, thank you, Tamsanga. Another question would be, how are you going to make sure that there is no financial exclusion as a college representative?
So that will be, I will liaise with my finance as a part of my organization. I was deployed by SASCO, so by working hand in hand with my incoming finance, there will be a solution, as well as with the SSSO.
Okay, my last question would be, health sciences students have practicals that overlap the allocated time. How can that be reviewed?
So that can be done through liaising with the department itself to make sure that times doesn't overlap and across. So it's a communication between departments to make sure that it doesn't overlap the other.
Okay. Thank you very much, Tamsangwa. That was Tamsangwa, college representative from Health Sciences, Westville campus.
Thanks.
And we are back. Our next candidate is Usandiswa Ndagwende for the College of AES Westville Campus College Representative.
Presiding officer, deputy presiding officer, members of SGLD, fellow candidates, and UKZN student populace, I greet you all. I, Sandiso Mtawende, I'm contesting for the portfolio of the college rep of AES Westville campus. I, Fighter Sandiso, commit myself to unreservedly serve and advance the interest of all students in campus. By unreservedly, I mean that no issue will be taken lightly. No issue will be taken lightly. All the issues will be resolved with a maximum effort. And still under unreserved, regardless of race, gender, or economic freedom, every student will be treated the same. So often, I feel that students are frustrated by the procedures and lack of cooperation by the staff members. Students, I'll be there for you let me rephrase this. I vow to represent and defend all of the students against the unfair treatment that they receive from staff. Every student who may find themselves with the negligent behavior from the staff members are allowed to come to me, and they can contact me in any way that's on the social media platforms or my email, since we can't have contact sessions with them. And also the second point that I wanted to go is transformation in the student government. I commit myself in bringing transformation to the dynamics of the student governments, which shall favor current and incoming student populace. I believe more programs aimed at the welfare of students, such as provision of meals and the reduction of student debt, can be achieved by redirecting the surpluses from research budgets and reducing or cutting certain academic programs which should prioritize unfunded students. These programs shall be proposed by the SRC and overlooked by its members. Also, I wanted to talk about organizing work experience programs for postgrads. As we know, most of our sisters and brothers are unemployed, but they are qualified. I believe this is due to them not receiving enough training. I commit myself to organize practical training and work experience programs for graduates and postgraduates to enhance their employability. I shall try to create relationships with the private sector and the university to make such opportunities possible. And then the next part is about career guidance programs. I shall also try to bring many enlightening programs of career guidance for students from first year to third year to encourage direction. As we know, most of the students are studying, but they don't know what they are studying for. They don't know what they will do when they get their qualifications. As the incoming college rep of AES, I will make sure that there will be programs that will help them. Let me rephrase. I'll make sure that there are programs that will help them increase their chances of knowing what they want to be or what they want to do after getting their qualification. Also, as we know, that printing is expensive in our lands. I shall suggest that printing should be free to all students, funded by who receive funding or self-paying, or there should be an amount of a certain amount of money that is allocated to their student accounts to allow them to print, because as we know, when we receive our allowances, it is called meal allowances, not printing allowances. And also, for the year of 2020 and 2021, there should be no academic exclusion. I'll also make sure that DPs are waived when there's been a disturbance on the academic calendar. Also, students who are improving in their academics are not supposed to be exposed to prohibition. I selflessly commit myself of the aforementioned and to progressive within the constraints of the Constitution, tackle any further students which arise to ensure all students are fairly treated academically and make sure that all students are well treated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sandiswa. I've got a few questions to ask you regarding your manifesto. How will you deal with staff members who do not assist students?
Staff members, this matter should be taken to their respective leaders, and must take them to
Okay, no problem.
Ama-staff members lawa angabasiza abafundi singadila nawo kahle ukuthi sifike siye kwabaphathi bawo, and mase sibone ukuthi lokho abaphathi bayo ayikho into abayenzayo ngale nto. Into sesingathi sithathe ezandleni zethu lento sithumele kube thina siya khona straight e-audit office sesokhuluma nawo mhlambe sobona ukuthi lento ilungiswa kanjani. Kuzodependa ukuthi umfundi ube nenkinga yiphi ezayengasizakala.
Okay, ngiyabonga. Omunye umbuzo uthi, how will you run the programs of work experience programs?
Lokho isikole ngadinga ukuthi kuqale sithenge ama-equipments a-right lawa asebenziswa ema-lab, njengekholeji yaka-science nje, ema-lab lawa asemsebenzini kumele sisetshenziswe ama-instruments lawa abantu abazoba exposed wona mase sebephumile la esikoleni.
Okay. Ngiyabonga. That was Usandisa Dakwende contesting for College of Agriculture and Engineering Sciences at Westville campus. Thank you very much, Usandisa. And we are back. Now we have Tolintlanhla Ngcobo, representing the Edgewood campus for College of Humanities, EFFSC.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, students. My name is Tolintlanhla Ngcobo, the incoming college representative of Humanities in Edgewood. I'm here. Mine is very brief and very short. I'll start by introducing myself as I've done. Again, I am Tolintlanhla Ngcobo, the outgoing chairperson of the EFF Student Command, who led as a first year and delivered 100% for the first time ever in Edgewood. Of which we only had not won elections before, but as a chairperson and as a first year, I delivered 100% for the first time ever in Edgewood. I'll start by ngithi ukuthi kancane on the previous SRC. We had a college representative that was deployed by the EFFSC who worked very, very hard under harsh circumstances, and he was able to win the following issues. Firstly, academic exclusion. There was no student in Edgewood who was academically excluded. As we all know that each and every student who was academically excluded, he or she was not academically excluded due to the leadership that were deployed in office. So I will start by briefing you about the objectives of the UKZN SRC Constitution. I'll quote Njelapana on section 3, subclause 3.3. It says, the objective of the UKZN SRC Constitution is to embrace the vision, mission, and strategic plan of the UKZN through the development of plans and goals. So, as a college representative, as it is stated in the UKZN SRC section 9, subclause 9.3, whereby as a college representative, I will make sure that from the beginning of the year, I formed the CSC as stipulated in the Constitution of UKZN that will create a friendly working and learning environment to all the students. What do I mean? I mean I will call all the class representatives as to gather information and as to gather what is bothering students in their modules or in their clusters. Then what I will do is that I will facilitate those processes to make sure that izinkinga zabafundi ziyalungiseka. So what will I do as the incoming college representative of Edgewood campus or the College of Humanities? Firstly, what I will do is to bring professionalism or to be professional in a manner that I address issues. For example, as students, you expect us as student leaders to go shout at lecturers, shout at coordinators, but that's not a way of doing things. If you are a grown person and you've enrolled in the higher institution of learning, you need to be able to engage whenever there's a space of engagement, and then lobby people to your idea and then come out on top. So as the incoming college representative, that's what I'm bringing. I will bring professionalism. Let's be professional whenever we're engaging. We should not fight or insult people or lecturers to hear our ideas, but we go to lecturers, we present our ideas, and then we lobby them to our ideas, then we champion student issues. Secondly, what I will do is that for disabled students, there are students you find some students are deaf, some students cannot talk, and obviously those students cannot cope under the normal classes. They cannot go to LT something and then study like everyone. But what should they do? Those students must be well catered for. If there is a deaf student, obviously there must be an interpreter for the student. If the student who cannot talk, there must be an interpreter for the student. Then going on to this thing of lands and like where we study in our campus, we have a problem because we find that when you go to study, a lot of venues are locked, and then we cannot study in a congested area, just like we cannot study at home. So I will make sure, as the incoming college representative, that each and every day you come to campus, you say you're going to study, you'll find a place to study where you will be able to study alone, where you'll be able to lock yourself up and study in a manner that suits you and that suits you best. And then going forward, I will also make sure that each and every dedicated and willing student in my college will pass those modules. Some students usually make fools out of student leaders, because whenever they are told to go and go prepare them for themselves for AMA test, they usually do not go to prepare. They do their things, then they come back tomorrow, they complain. Honestly speaking, those students must be responsible. But for each and every student who is responsible, who is willing, and who is trying by his or her level best to pass his or her module, the student will pass, like it or not, because we enter nowhere. We represent students, and represent student matters and heart, and then we champion student issues every time that you go to office. You will find that there are a lot of students who had a problem, even with their marks. Last semester, they had a lot of problems with their marks last semester. But what they did, they wrote emails to us, they wrote WhatsApp to us, and they even called us. What we do, we fix those problems, we go to relevant people. And what I will make sure that I do, as the incoming college representative, I will make sure that I understand the apparatus or the system apparatus of the institution. For example, you know that we have to go from the lecturer, coordinator, cluster leader, academic leaders, the dean of the school, the TVC, then the VC. That's how we fix students' issues. Not what you know what is supposed to go to a coordinator, but you are going to the TVC, you are going to the dean. That thing is not professional. It is not being professional. So students, please vote for someone you know. Vote for someone that has been with you in the ground. Do not vote for someone who will be given a platform to speak and given a platform to present your ideas, and then they'll be claiming. Make sure you vote for the EFFSC, vote for Tolintata Ngobo as your college representative. Amanda, thank you very much, students.
Thank you very much, Tolintata Ngobo. Hey, I love your spirit. I've got a few questions for you. First question is, there is currently no sign language instructors. How would you address that issue?
As I've stated, students, that we as students are paying for our free decolonized education. Therefore, we must study against all odds. So what I'm saying, in Edgewood, we will introduce, of course, speaking with relevant stakeholders, we will introduce people who will be helping those people who cannot hear and speak, so that they can learn under good environment. Because I know some students who cannot speak or who cannot speak or hear, but they've been complaining a lot. So I will make sure, working of course with the structure that I will be elected with, that there are people who will interpret for the people who cannot hear nor speak. Thank you very much.
And my last question to Ntlantla will be, how would you increase students' pass rates?
To be honest, students, to increase student pass rates, it mustn't be dependent on me as the college representative. But what I will do, I will facilitate that process. I will make sure that, because there are some lecturers that you find that you are writing today at 8 a.m., they will tell you by yesterday, 10 p.m. that you are writing. Obviously, that's not fair to the learning environment of students. So what I will make sure that students' pass rate is going up. I will make sure, firstly, to say, as students, let us be honest with ourselves. Let us make sure that we study. Then, if there's something wrong that has happened, because you find out you wrote an assignment, you excelled in your assignment, then the lecturer lost your assignment, then they're saying it's your problem. Then that's why I come in as a college representative, to make sure that those students are given a chance to submit the assignment, they submitted again, and then they are given a chance the assignment they submitted. Because at the end of the day, bengasilona iphutha labafundi, bengasilona iphutha lomfundi ukuthi lecturer elahle umsebenzi wawo nayo yonke leyo nto. Mandla.
Oh, Tolintantla madoda. That was Tolintantla Ngobo. Thank you very much from Edgewood campus.
Salute.
And we are back. Now we have Usizwe Kina from Edgewood campus contesting for humanities. So next up, we have Usizwe Kina from Edgewood Campus College Representative.
Ngenibingelela igama lami uSizwe Gina from UKZN campus. I'm contesting the portfolio of college representative. When you are a college representative, mine is very simple. Is that I champion issues that relates with the academics. So if I get a chance to be in that office of college representative, I promise that I will represent all the academics and the institutional interest of my campus, which is UKZN campus. I will make sure that I coordinate. I'll make sure that I coordinate every active. I'll make sure that I coordinate every active campus students services so that they can liaise with me as their college representative. The most important thing is to make sure that I liaise with the dean's office. I promise that I will have the meetings with the dean's office week by week. The dean's office for Edgewood campus is Mr. Msibi. I promise that I will liaise with Mr. Msibi every week to address and give him the issues of the student in terms of academics, teaching, learning, and research. So as the college representative, it means that I will be leading and I will be coordinating and I will be giving advice, I will be the guidance for all the class representatives of UKZN campus in their respective modules. So mine is to make sure that I will put pressure on the lecturers that on the first week of academics, they must make sure that in their modules, the class representatives are being elected. And immediately after they are being elected, I will make sure that I promise that I will collect all their details, capture them in my list, and have a WhatsApp group with them, so that we can always, every week, we are going to have weekly meetings with the class reps, so that they can address all the student issues that affects academics. So that I become familiar with the issues of the students. So that when I go to the dean's office, which is Mr. Msibi, I go to represent all the matters that are affecting students according to their respective modules. So another thing that if ngifika lapha ofisini le college representative, njengamanje as Edgewood campus, we are facing this thing which is called the CR code. This thing of CR code ibizwa ngokuthi i-COVID related issues. Last semester besifunda online. As at sifunda online, kunama students akade engena angabuyiswanga emakhaya ekade ehlushwa network agcine engasubmithanga. Lawo ma student lawo agcine kuthiwa awazanga phase because ama-marks abo awazanga capture ratio. So uma ngifike e-ofisini into yokuqala engifuna ukuyenza kakhulu kulama students, ngiyanithembisa ama students ukuthi nina kuma marks enu okubhala ukuthi CR COVID related issues ngizwe champion issue. I will make sure that lama marks anga capture ratio njengoba kufundwa online first semester. I make sure that ama lecturers ekade nifundisa last semester ayo capture ratio lawo marks, because nina hayi ngoba nifailile but kuyaziwa ukuthi besine lenkinga le ye COVID-19 and nina as a university ayizange sibuyise sonke ema universities. So lokho lento labantu laba abanenkinga ye CR code okuyi COVID related issues, I will make sure that I will champion their issues. So another thing engifuna ukuyithembisa njengamanje i-change kula lento ye-change of curriculum. Ama students kade register for second semester for i-change of curriculum ideleyile. Kumanje ama modules that they were withdrawing or they were registered for second semester are not captured on their student central. Kuze kube manje But what I can say to students is that Leo matter Leo ngathi salungiswa, because I've sent an email to uMam Nomsa wase-Edgewood campus check ukuthi kwenzakalani, but uMam Nomsa promised me that every student that sent their change of curriculum before umhla 2 October 2020 azoba captured. But I even further stated that kumanje ama-modules aqalile and kuyasubmithwa njengamanje, kodwa still kunabantu abangaka-capture lapha ku-student central. So sengiqalile u-collect list yabantu ama-students angaka namanje ukuthi lapha ku-student central abangaka-capture ama-marks abo. So tomorrow ngizoyifinalize kahle list, because bengisekufuna ukuthi kube ile list ibe form ukuthi i-student ama-details student, igama, isibongo, student number, ama-modules akade bewa-register, ama-modules akade ama-modules akade bewa-withdraw. I'm going to collect that list. I'm finalizing it tomorrow and I will email it to Mam Nomsa, and Mam Nomsa, I promise that if ngenze njalo it will be checking their feedback ukuthi kule change of curriculum kwenzakalani, because njengamanje kuyafundwa. But in the meantime, I encourage with our students, because we as students, if I aided the education studies, that means I'm dealing with Mr. Hlatshwayo as the lecturer of E8. So I encourage abafundi ukuthi bekhulume nama-lecturers eba-aid manually ku-UKZN monthly, so that they can have access to ama-assessment and all these things of receiving slides besalinde ukuthi kulunge lento yaku-student central. So enye into esibhekene nayo njengamanje ilento ka-NSFAS N+N2 rule. We have ama-PGCE UKZN Edgewood campus. Ama-PGCE awawutholi funding because kuthiwa labantu laba baqala kwenye institution njengamanje sesebenza omunye unyaka kwenye institution, and lawo bantu njengamanje abakabuyiswe emakhaya. Njengoba bengakabuyiswe emakhaya, kusho ukuthi lawo bantu labo abekho funded by NSFAS, which means i-data le abasi-allocate yona yase-UKZN Edgewood campus bona banikezwe. Kodwa njengamanje expect ukuthi ama-PGCE asubmit ama-assignment. So I'll make sure that I liaise and become in line, in hand with ama-lecturers, ama-PGCE, ukuthi awangademand umsebenzi wama-PGCE, because ama-PGCE njengamanje awabuyisiwe emakhaya, awanikiwe ama-permits, and i-data abayitholiwe because they are not funded. So njengamanje ama-PGCE academic yakho izoba affected because labantu abakwazi ukusubmita. So ama-PGCE ngiyanithembisa, I will stand for you. Ngizokwenza ngasonke konke okusamandleni nami ukuthi niyasizakala ukuthi uma khona i-lecture esubmithani, uma ukuthi awugcina ungakwazanga ukusubmitha ngenxa ye-data, because i-data sikayitholi and nina vele anizukuyithola because you are not funded by NSFAS ngenxa yalento ka-NSFAS+1 rule. Ngiyathembisa ukuthi ngizokwenza sure ukuthi ama-lecturers enu uma seninawo amandla ukuthi nifake ama-data nikwazi ukusubmitha, even though it will be late submission, it must not be recorded as late submission. I will make sure that i-lecturer yenu iya-capturisha wonke ama-marks enu noma ngathiwa i-late submission. Thank you.
Quick question. How would you ensure academic excellence
for students?
Yes.
This thing of academic excellence, kahle mina as a college rep ayikho kumina. Isekuthenini abafundi bona bayimisela kangakanani ukuthi befunde. But mine is to make sure that ama-lecturers awamiswa ama-modules, awamiswa ama-lecturers ayafika every day uma kumele baya-attenda and encourage ama-student ukuthi, because siyathenda ku-Zoom njengamanje, into esibhekene nayo ukuthi asenda ku-Zoom, I will encourage ama-student ukuthi awa-attende lento ka-Zoomini, awangahlali phansi sibone ngama-slide recordiwe, awa-attende. Uma ukuthi khona labanga-understandi khona ababuze kuma-lecturers abo. So that's why that ukubona ama-student ukuthi bona bayimisela kangakanani, leyo nto ayikho kwi-college leyo.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu Sizwe, nizweleke bafethu. Vote for nange esho uSizwe la College of Humanities Edgewood campus. Next up, we have Unozibusiso Mgomezulu from Medical School College Representative, EFFSC.
Receive my humble greetings, fellow colleagues. Allow me to first introduce myself and what I stand for. I am Nozibusiso Mgomezulu, the current Secretary General of the EFFSC Medical School Branch, the former Sports Arts and Culture Officer of the 2019 Tafta House Committee, and the coordinator of the Sizofunda Ngingani program. Today, I'll be giving you a detailed picture of where I stand as a candidate contesting for college representative of the MCRC in the upcoming 2020-2021 elections. Quality education is central in the formation of the intellectual development, economic, social, and all other facets that are central to the formation of students who are informed, engaged, as well as active. It is for this particular reason that I strongly believe that all students are deserving of a quality and well-resourced education. I believe that I'm worthy of being a college representative because I am trustworthy, accountable, a good listener, as well as a good communicator. These are some of the qualities that a true leader should possess in order to lead people effectively. Having been in medical school for almost 3 years now, there are some pertinent issues that I've come across and have noticed, and I, for one, intend to champion these for students shall I be given the opportunity. Firstly, allow me to talk about the Nelson Mandela Fidel Castro Medical Students Collaboration Program. This is a program whereby South African students are taken to Cuba to do their medical degree, and then they come back to South Africa, specifically at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, to complete their degree. With regards to this program, there is lack of academic as well as social support in terms of helping the student transition from Cuban medicine to South African medicine. What I will do through the Office of College Representative is that I will ensure the building of a healthy, rapid relationship with the Cuban students, and also ensure that the college hosts tutorials whereby willing and available mainstream students will tutor their fellow colleagues on certain concepts that they are struggling with. Because at the end of the day, we all have one goal, which is to become competent doctors. Moving on to talk about the School of Laboratory Medicine. Ever since I came into medical school, there has been a shortage of equipment at the skills lab as well as equipment that is faulty. I am well aware of the communique that was issued by the MCRC that new equipment has been bought. As soon as I step into office, I will ensure that I follow up on this process and make sure that the equipment is delivered. And if it has not been delivered, I will ensure that I hasten up the process so that when students are allowed to come back on campus for interactive teaching, they come back to a skills lab that has resources to enable them to have a well-resourced education. At times, we are faced with the problem of administrative negligence as well as poor services by the ADOs. I will make it a point that as soon as I step into office, the administrators are supposed to be competitive in their jobs because it is what they get paid for. They are not merely doing us students a favor, but they should do their jobs in such a way that satisfies the student body at large. With regards to the School of Laboratory Medicine, you find that there are certain lectures which were scheduled in the timetable and they get cancelled and never rescheduled. This impacts negatively on the students because these certain lectures, they contain information that is integral to one's development and medical career. So this behavior needs to be done away with. Moving on to the School of Clinical Medicine, allow me to talk about a certain policy that we have that is used nationwide in the University of UKZN. This is called the Academic Monitoring and Exclusion Policy. I'd first like to talk about the Academic Monitoring Policy. It is a policy that is related to one's academic standing, whereby if you are on green, you are at good academic performance standing. If you are at orange, you are at risk, and if you are at red, you are underperforming. But this is a system that assesses one's results towards the end of the semester, meaning they use your final semester mark. So in the School of Clinical Medicine, students do multiple blocks per semester. So to do away with the situation whereby students are faced with having to write multiple supplementary exams towards the end of the semester, a system that is similar to the robot system has to be put in place, a system that will flag and inform students that are at risk, but not only towards the end of the semester, throughout the semester, whereby through my office, I will ensure that these students are provided with extra academic support for their following block. So what this system will do is that it will ensure the reduction of the number of supplementary exams that each student has to write so that they do not end up abandoning one block and focusing more on the other block. And it will also help with the reduction. It will also help with the reduction of the number of students who will have to write supplementary exams. At times, there are consultants who cancel teaching sessions on the day that the teaching is due. This is unacceptable, and it should be made mandatory that should a consultant need to cancel a teaching, students need to be informed a day prior to the session of the teaching, because students prepare before they go to these teachings. Now I'd like to talk about a very pertinent issue that we face in medical school and the whole of UKZN, which is academic exclusion. You will recall that I've talked about the robot system, which is also related to the academic exclusion. So if a student is underperforming and they are identified to be underperforming, they are provided with academic as well as personal counseling. Should they continue to underperform, they are allowed to appeal, where they may or they may not be readmitted on final probation. If a student is readmitted and they continue to underperform, they are then excluded. This policy in itself is not fair to medical students because it does not take into consideration the challenging nature of our degree, as well as the length of our degree and the number of modules that we do per semester compared to other campuses. Through my office, I will ensure that this policy is reviewed at and amendments made to it. Certain amendments that I would like to be seen made to this academic exclusion policy. The first one is that the period that one gets excluded, it needs to be reduced, because as it stands, the minimum period that one can be excluded is a year, and this is a very long time of a student being excluded. Secondly, the amendment that I would like to see being changed in this policy, made in this policy, is with regards to the number of appeals that a student is allowed before they're excluded. As it stands, students are only allowed one appeal. They need to be allowed at least 2 appeals. And there's also this thing that in the policy that states that you will remain on good academic performance shall you pass 75% of the maximum credits and 70% of the normal credit load. If you look at, for example, with regards to second years, you are allowed to register for 1 module per semester. You get that the module pertains 72 credit loads. So with regards to the 70%, which is put for you to be on good academic performance, it is very hard it is very easy for medical students to get below that 70% because a certain module holds so many credits. So shall you fail that certain module, then automatically all of the credits that you've accumulated are forfeited. So these certain percentages that have been allocated in this policy, they need to be re-looked at and aligned with our degree so that it favors medical students, because at the time at this time, it does not favor medical students. There is a module which is done, which is called the community and evidence-based practice module, which is done in 2nd, 3rd, as well as 4th year. This is a module whereby students are expected to do assignments pertaining to it during the mid-year recess. And they do these assignments at their hometown clinics as well as hospital. You find that with some students, these healthcare facilities are remote from where they stay, and it requires transport money. What I will do is that I will try my best to advocate that students in these above mentioned years are given a selectives allowance. I know some of you will say this is me being too ambitious, but no, it is not. Actually, with students at Edgewood campus, their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year, they are provided with an allowance to do their practicals in the mid-year recess, and also with nursing students who do their practicals, they are provided with transports. So if this is possible with other campuses, why is it that it is not possible with medical students? So these are some of the issues that I'm willing to champion. I'm also willing to listen to students and hear what they want me to do, and then I will represent them to the best of my abilities. As many issues will come up, it is not that I will only be championing these issues that I have mentioned. I am willing to do more than that, which is why I'm pleading with all of you that come the 26th and the 27th of October, make the right decision, go out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nozibusiso. I have a few questions for you. First question will be, how are you going to help improve the academic support to academic struggling people at medical school?
Okay, so what I will ensure is that there is academic tutoring, and ensure that everyone who is struggling with their academics, I will ensure that I myself follow up, that they attend these teaching sessions, because at the end of the day, it will benefit them.
Okay. And then another question is, the UKZN Medical School is in the process of introducing a new method of standard setting for assessment of students. Can you really say you are ready to deal with that, and why?
I think that I am ready to deal with the new procedure that will be introduced in terms of the academic teaching, because whatever the challenges that will be presented by that new policy, I will be more than willing to challenge it and ensure that it favors students. It will not disadvantage students with regards to their academics, because we all want to pass and finish this degree in record time. So I will make it my absolute best to ensure that the new standards of teaching favor all of the students in medical school.
The last question will be, we heard that you achieved top HouseCom academic excellence last year. How did you do that?
That is true. Last year I did achieve top academic performance while I was in the House Committee. What you need to do is that you need to, if you have a love for serving students and you are all about servitude and ensuring that you help everyone at the end of the day, you need to ensure that as much as you are going to put student first, yes, you have to fight for the students and do what is best and represent their mandates at all times, but at the end of the day, you do not have to neglect your academics, because that is what we came here to do at university. We came to study. That is what our parents sent us here to do. So at all times, we ensure that we balance student issues as well with our academics, to ensure that at the end of the day, we pass with, we promote academic excellence, and we pass. That is what we stand for, academic excellence.
Thank you very much, Nozibusiso from medical school.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Ulungani Shezi from Medical School College Representative.
I'd like to extend my profound greetings to all of you, my colleagues, in conjunction with your distinguished delegation. My name is Lungani Shezi, and I'm running for the college representative seat of the College of Health Sciences. There is a quote by Steve Buchholz and Thomas Roth, which says, "The mediocre leader tells, the good leader explains, the superior leader demonstrates, and the great leader inspires." I've been inspired by the great leaders who have led before me. I'm a person who is confident, who is passionate, who is a good communicator, can handle various tasks, who is very friendly. I'm running for the college seats because I want to ensure that the students' interests are well represented at college board meetings. I want to strengthen the welfare offered to students, both university-wide and on a personal level, through advocating for the availability of resources and conditions, prerequisites for reasonably comfortable, healthy, secure studying and living. I think it is of vital importance to point out that over and above everything else, our academics are of utmost importance, as they serve as a reason why most of us, if not all of us, have left their families and traveled miles to seek for their education. It pains me a lot to realize that a lot of unresolved contributory factors have led to an increase in failure rates because of our academic exclusion policy, which is quite not fair for medical students. Looking at the way our degree is very different, or rather than unique from the other degrees. The academic monitoring and exclusion policy has a lot of loopholes. Firstly, it only focuses on the exclusion parts of it and does not properly look at the academic monitoring parts of it. If it focused both equally, we wouldn't be having students subject to academic exclusion because they will be identified at an earlier stage and they'll get all the help they need and then they'll be able to pass. And again, we all know that a great leader must read. So I'd like to touch on Section 6 of the policy, which talks about the classification of academic performance. The policy reads, a student remains coded green provided he or she has passed at least 75% maximum expected credit load to date and has also passed 70% or more of normal credit load for the semester, which again doesn't really speak to the curriculum in that sense. In the School of LMS, for example, with the exception of first years, each student registers for a module each semester with a credit load of 72 and 64 in second year and third year respectively. The system is designed in such that failure of the module leads to forfeiture of all your credits and all or none principal, which means that if you fail at the end of a semester, you will accumulate 0 credits for the semester, and that means that the classification method is invalid for the students. This classification speaks of percentages that will never exist at any given time throughout the MPCHB curriculum, and they are not favorable for students, as it makes it easier for students to fail. Being subject to academic exclusion puts your whole future on the line, as no one ever anticipates himself or herself of a future where they don't have a degree and the job that they've always dreamed of. With that being said, I'll say kindly allow this hand to lead you towards a medical school which is free of academic exclusion. Luckily, our colleagues who have been here before have made sure that there's no academic exclusion in medical school. So it will be for me to continue where they left off. I then commit myself to advocate for the following: adequate academic support from first year to sixth year. Implement academic mentorship in second years and third years. Also, implement academic mentorship for the Fidel Castro collaboration students, as I feel as if we always ignore their issues. They must also feel part of the family of medical school since they are part of us. It's not easy coming from another country and coming to a different country to study, so they need all the support that they need. I'll make sure that the curriculum review is done. I'll make sure that fourth years get all the help they need, because looking at coronavirus, how it has affected us. The class of 2023 didn't have any clinical exposure. So it will be for me to make sure that next year they get all the academic support they need, since they did not get any exposure this year. And then I'll make sure that fifth years and fourth years are assisted by the registers. And also make sure that the facilitators at Skills Lab who teach second years and third years teach the same thing, meaning that I'll make sure that they'll have meetings whereby they discuss the content that they're going to teach. And also, looking at the skills equipment, we've had problems with the equipment used as skills, and the previous SRC has made sure that the new equipment will be bought, so it will be for me to continue where they left off. As for PPL, it is important to say that PPL has not been effective in medical school. So I have gathered that the university has vowed to go to other universities in order to see how they do their PPL. So it will be for me to make sure that next year they do come up with the plan that they got from the other universities, and then it will be implemented, of course, by your votes. Again, I'll make sure that the special exams written at the beginning of the year, as we know that the university has Senate exams, whereby a student who is doing final year, who is left with 2 modules, is allowed to write those modules in order to finish the qualification. But looking at the School of Clinical Medicine, how it is structured, I think it is kind of unfair for, let's say, an example, the 4th year is left with 1 block and has to carry over that block to 5th year. So I'll make sure that these exams are introduced, whereby the student will be allowed to write the exam at the beginning of the year, so that he or she can pass and not accumulate the block to the following year. Also, I'll make sure that the DP waiver is implemented the same across the university, because we know that when there's been a disruption in academics, maybe there's been a strike, usually the university waives the DP in all the campuses. But then, looking at the School of Medicine, their DP is not usually waived. So I'll make sure that their DP is also waived, so that it could be fair for all students in UKZN. I'll also like to reevaluate the role of student representatives to make it more dependable and more responsible. I'll also enhance transparency and communication in the entire student representative initiation. I'll also improve the representation of postgraduate students on the academic matters. And also, it is a well-known fact that you cannot deal with the issues of students without having any experience with working with the students. I have been grown by my senior leaders of the PYA, and yes, I can say indeed I grew. Currently, I'm the class representative of the 3rd year medical school class. I deal with student issues every day. I work with the administration of the school to make sure there is smooth running of the teaching process. We solve issues that arise and keep the communication between lecturers and students. I was also part of the Juniper and Kongela House Committee. I was the HIV and Transformations Officer. We managed to help resolve residents' issues in Kongela, like the Wi-Fi. And then we also managed to win a new race, which is Juniper, and that was one of the greatest victories of last year. With all this being said, I can't achieve this without your vote. So please support me in the student elections. If you vote for me, you'll be choosing a leader who is dedicated, focused, and committed to improving the lives of students at this college. As I conclude, I want to say, brilliance lies between each of us. So let's blaze a trail on the 26th and 27th of October and prove that we are not only democrats by birth rights, but we are also by intellects as well. So let us please invest our votes on the right candidates. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lungani. I have a few questions for you. One says, since we know many clinical skills in clinical years have been changed to OSCE, how are you going to ensure through your office that we still produce well-skilled doctors?
I think that's simple. I think I need to make sure that the teaching within the college stays like the same. To say that we need competent registrars or consultants who will teach the students in order for the students to pass. Yeah, we need experienced consultants who will teach the students. Yeah.
Thank you. And the last question will be, as a class rep, what have you done to improve and make the standard of paper reviews where students are not satisfied?
Sorry?
Mati, as a class rep, what have you done to improve and make the standard of paper reviews where students are not satisfied?
Well, it is unfortunate that during my class rep term, it was during COVID-19. So we really didn't have a lot of issues whereby the papers should be reviewed. So it is to say that, well, I can say in order to improve the paper review, I think what we can do, we could change the way it is done. I think the ADOs should come up with the question papers and the scripts so that the students can be able to understand how they went wrong, not just projecting the answers on the board and saying that, okay, you didn't get the answer right, the answer is correct. That is not productive. We need to we need to improve that. We should have lectures in the paper reviews who will explain why the student was wrong when he answered the question. Because displaying the answers on the board doesn't help anyone. It's not beneficial to anyone. We need the lectures to actually come to the ground and say, this is how we went wrong, and explain to the students so that the students can grasp the content going forward and making great doctors in the country.
Thank you very much, Lungani. That was Ulungani from medical school. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. This was live coming from Howard College. Tomorrow we are back with the SRC election manifesto, same time. That's a wrap.